don't stare. How would you look after eons in some ghastly crypt? Your people are rather prone to death. Mine are not. Yet when I emerged from my completely unjustified imprisonment, I found them gone. Oh, don't stare. How would you look after eons in some ghastly crypt? Your people are rather prone to death. Mine are not. Yet when I emerged from my completely unjustified imprisonment, I found them gone. Our culture forgotten. Any trace of the world I knew all but obliterated. I must even hide my true face beneath an ever-shifting mask for fear you savages will attack me. That is how I wander this strange world, trying to uncover the truth about a history you primitive people never even knew existed.
All my life, I've been a performer, a musician, beloved and celebrated by all. But I have a secret. I'm also a playground for sprites and spirits and worse. The voice that rings inside me now is darker than any that came before. Almost caused a bunch of my fans to rip each other to pieces. But you can trust me. I've got this under control. Step 1, find out who or what is trying to take control of my mind. Step 2, make it sorry it ever tried.
I was just thinking about someone I used to know. My cousin, the Queen, in fact. A tyrant. I tried to stop her, but things don't always go according to plan. She cast me out to a forgotten island, and made short work of my allies, too. Lucky for me, I was able to commandeer a ship, and began a new life for myself, out on the high seas. Aye, but I hear that the Queen is at it again. And there's something darker behind her madcap schemes this time. If I don't stop her, I don't know who will.
Once I was a crusader for the Divine Order. I pledged my life to Lucian the Divine. The war changed everything. He sent me to save the elves I grew up amongst. I arrived too late. Lucian ordered the use of death fog against the Black Ring, annihilating everyone I once knew in the process. Now I'm a mercenary killer, one of the infamous Lone Wolves. And my next target is none other than Lucian's own son.
I used to be a slave, kept under the thumb of the Master, the bastard that made me hunt down my own kin. How did he do that, you ask? With the living scar you see on my cheek, this horror that takes no more than a song sung by Master Dearest to control my very thoughts. But now the tables have turned. I broke my shackles, and when I finally find him, I will make the Master sing a very different kind of song.
Famed, of course, for my unique red skin and unparalleled skills as a general of the House of War, I, the Red Prince, was raised within the vast palaces of the fabled Forbidden City. I was destined to become the next emperor. But my ambitions suffered a bit of a setback when I fell from grace for cavorting with demons. Now, I'm exiled and hunted by assassins. But I assure you, I remain undaunted and as determined as ever to claim my rightful throne.
It all happened like I knew it would. A single drop of source magic. And, like flies to honey, the monsters swarmed. The rebel panicked. The carnage began. And the Magisters pointed their fingers at me. Just as I'd planned. I was shackled and collared, and sent to Fort Joy. I'd come here to kill Godwoken. But instead, I became part of their story.
So, still a bit groggy, are we? Don't worry, the sedative will wear off soon enough. Easy now. No need to hurry. Get your bearings and report to me upstairs.
Well now, aren't you a curious sight? If I'd had a mask to hide my bones as well as yours, maybe I'd still be walking around today. Where'd you get it? There can't be many curios like that in the world. Is that a fact? And your voice? You ripped that from them too. I've never heard such silken tones from a naked skull. Ha! Should have known it was a parlor gimmick. Still, you'd best keep that mask on. The living don't take kindly to seeing their future staring back at them.
And now you are silent. If only all humans were so thoughtful. How crude. I've seen more intricate design in a butcher's slab. Junk. Junk. An animal sty. Freight or food?
Shaking her fluffy coat, the sheep eyes you balefully, her rectangular eyes like letterboxes to the void. With one sharp hoof, she kicks you right in the shin.
Banded like a chicken's leg, but not much meat on your bones. That may be so, but look at the flies. Ban wisdom. Flies know when a creature will die. And it's around your head they're buzzing, not mine.
With two shakes of her stumpy tail, the sheep turns away from you to peruse her hay-filled manger.
Get your dirty little paws out of my hay.
Did you expect a needle?
Hey, get me out of this cage and I'll make it worth your while. You in? Your guess is as good as mine. Someone screamed loud as a banshee. After that, pure pandemonium. They never even told me what I was accused of. Just dragged me down here. Set me free, and I'll set you free. A fair trade, I should think. A gentleman among jesters, you are. Give that lever a pull, and I guarantee we'll both get something out of the deal.
Before you can even touch the lever, you hear a sniff and snort behind you as the snoring Magister mumbles himself awake. One bloodshot eye opens, and then another.
Is my shift over? You here to relieve me? Wait, you're no Magister. You're a sorcerer. What are you doing here, filthy scrounger? Choose your words carefully. My fists ache to meet a new face. A clever story. I should have known there'd be trouble.
I'll yield to none. So much for a peaceful stroll.
The prisoner's buoyant voice darkens as his gaze finds the sunken hollows that once held your eyes.
Ah, freedom. Tastes better than wine. I'm nothing if not a man of my word. And I did give my word I'd set you free, lad. Say your prayers while you've breath to speak them. The halls await.
Greet the Reaper for me.
What would he have to gain by killing me? Strange forces are at work.
Empty.
Good thing I didn't worry about splinters. And I'm back where I started. Nowhere to go but up.
Why, you're looking a bit more chipper. Yes. Looks like that collar fits you snugly enough. Nice bit of work, even if I do say so myself. you are. Not too tight, I hope. The collar, I mean. Oh, not to worry. Every dog has to get used to its leash. In the meantime, your next stop will be Magister William. All passengers have to be registered in the ship's manifest, and he's the chap in charge of the logs. You'll find him on the other side of this deck, in the officers' quarters. No. You're alive, and you're having a conversation. You are on a ship, of course, but luckily for us both, we're merely sailing the plain old sea.
Index fingers pressed to her lips, she pauses a moment to give you a scrutinizing gander.
My word, you do seem a bit befuddled, don't you? Perhaps I was a bit too generous with that sedative. Oh, well, I'm sure you'll soon gather your wits. Most likely. Eventually. In the meantime, all you need to know is that we're en route to Fort Joy. A new life awaits, and if you're a particularly good boy, perhaps a cure as well. An end to Sauce. For good. Is he? Oh well. Some problems simply sort themselves, don't they?
She frowns and peers at you closely, concern clearly etched upon her face.
Delusions such as these are rare, but not unheard of. I recommend a cup of mulled wine and another night's sleep. Just take it easy. Why, for my peace of mind, of course. Why don't you try casting one of those Sauce spells of yours? See what happens.
Currents of magic surge inside you, boiling, bursting, then breaking, only to fade back into your soul like rain into the earth.
You better stop before you hurt yourself. All will, but no result. There you have it. See? The collar's function. It neuters you of sorts. Makes you unable to cast Sauce. For your own peace of mind, of course. Yours and the whole world's.
Good gods, there's been a murder here.
You've been collared, and you've been told what?
A young magister stands pale and silent. Her knuckles whiten around her weapon as you pass. Behind the magister, a bloodied mass lies in a heap. Gore and limbs lie at odd angles. You can't make out a face amid the mess.
Easy now. Why don't you move along? Get some fresh air. Waters is investigating. She'll figure out who did it. Always does. It's a small ship. His name was Finn. Oddball. Looked to me like he saw something he wished he hadn't before he came here. We'll find out who did it, one way or another. Nothing to see here.
No lesions, no trauma. He was bled by magic. Ugly sight, isn't it? Burns me up this happened under our protection. We're extremely lucky no Voidwalker followed the source that did this.
She looks up at you with a mirthless smile.
I was on duty in your room when the murder happened. You were asleep the whole time. Didn't even stir. You're one of the only indisputably innocent people on the ship. Unless you can commit murder in your sleep, of course. Finn was killed by Sauce. If a Magister could do that, there wouldn't be a Magister. It looks more like a passenger managed to slip their collar. And the rest, well, you see the evidence in front of you. Listen, I could use someone to keep their ears open among the passengers. Sometimes they clam up in front of a uniform. Bring me a good lead, and I'll throw in a shiny gold coin for you. How about that? Not in here, it isn't. You let me know if you hear anything. Whoever did this is dangerous. Yes, this is a rare kind of magic. I'll need to write to headquarters right away.
An elf sits tucked away in a dark spot, lazily rolling dice onto the surface of a barrel. They sound like the dry cackling of an old witch.
Snake eyes.
She chuckles.
I bet that's just what they'll look like.
She shakes her head.
Game for one, I'm afraid. Rolling dice, deciding fates. Don't worry, honey. It isn't yours.
She looks you up and down with the merest hint of a coy smile on her lips.
Never say never, though.
She eyes you quite seriously.
Not the future, no. But I can read the past in flesh. One of the perks of being an elf, you see. I'm quite good at it, too. I could lick your arm and tell you how you spent the night before last. Shall I?
She looks at you in surprise when you bare an arm of bone.
My. Guess I'll have to find out the memory from Marrow, won't I?
She gives your arm a vigorous stroke of the tongue, efficient like a cat grooming.
You were in a cellar with other sorcerers, watching, staring at them, hoping that none would stare back. You were desperate to speak up, to reach out, to form a connection with these strange creatures. But you were scared, terrified even, of what they might think of you.
She pats you on the shoulder consolingly.
There, no need to be a sourpuss. You don't have to worry, darling. Your secret's safe with me. I don't lick and tell.
Mad? Insufferable, surely.
The woman keeps rolling her dice.
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
I'm busy watching for clues, sorcerer. Go take your sub-story somewhere else.
A scruffy man lounges against the wall with scarred arms folded. A sly smile playing on his face, he stares across at the Magister guarding him. Noticing you, he straightens and beckons for you to come closer.
Watch your back, new fish. There's a murderer on board, and I'd bet 3 months' pay it's this trampy fam.
Rolling his eyes at the Magister's warning, the man named Ifan beckons again. He leans in and adjusts your collar with a sharp tug, balancing its weight so it no longer presses unpleasantly on your neck. He winks.
Pinches less that way, right?
Hocking a phlegmy gobbet in your general direction, the sullen Magister settles back to his task of glowering at Ifan. And now, you.
I'd wish you good luck, but I've a feeling you're the one who won't need it.
I'll give you that knuckle.
Ifan raises his eyebrows, but shakes his head at your attempts to communicate, glancing sideways at the angry...
Can we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up?
A broad dwarf sits totally upright on the bench, eyes closed, palms face up on his knees. His beard is a cascade of meticulous plaits, each one braided through with golden medallions. He raises an eyebrow as you approach, but doesn't open his eyes.
Listen up, boy. You hear that? Unacceptable. I've
I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Well, there has been a murder, Your Majesty. Maybe that has the Magister's more...
He turns his head toward you, looking you up and down, and smiles before turning his attention to the ship once more.
You look like a boy to me. Listen if you're interested, or get gone if you aren't. The ship, of course.
A wave of sound washes over you. The unintelligible chatter of your shipmates, the groaning of wood from floor to ceiling, the boom, crash and crackle of waves around you, complaints from the sea itself.
And?
Well, you've got this wolf on a leash now.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hand you right over the side of this ship with him.
The fellow cocks his ear, listening.
That isn't anger, it's
He cocks his ear to the other side, then smiles.
anticipation. She senses something. I'd hold on to my breeches if I were you, mate. That's all you hear, though. Listen close.
There's a killer about, after all.
There now, just like that. Squeak! Aha!
His eyes snap open as his countenance breaks into an expression of joy. One great paw claps you on the back. The other catches you before you lose your footing.
There. You heard it, didn't you? I knew it. I knew it. Aye, this is good news, boy. Good news.
I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
It's the wheel. The wheel. Don't you see, you beautiful idiot? Squeaks whenever the helmsman jerks it clockwise, which means we're heading east.
I've never dined on anything less than a dozen courses.
Burn my beard. That means if we've been traveling for, yes, only 10.34 nautical miles to Fort Joy.
Maybe that has the Magister's more concern than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
No indeed, boy. But that ain't my final destination.
The dwarf leans back from the table and strokes his beard, gold medallions jingling merrily. His eyes roll over to you.
That'll be all. Thank you kindly, boy.
How dare you classify this slop as food? I've seen more appetizing things coming out of
You one of them?
plague-stricken pigs.
A Divine Order loyal? They killed a sorcerer, you know. They'll hide the evidence well enough, but make no mistake.
Unacceptable. I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom. Well, well. What have we here? A fresh face in this stale hell. Let's size you up, shall we? See if you'll do.
The lizard looks you up and down, like a farmer would a fetching horse. All of a sudden, he grips you firmly by the chin, with the intent of inspecting your teeth.
One of us will kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
Can we just skip to the...
My, we are fierce, aren't we? Not to worry. I'll soon remedy that. Now then, to business. You will answer me 3 questions. The first one is this. Can you cook?
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
In which case, I take it your cuisine is limited to the introduction of eggs to hot water. How disappointing. On to the second question. Can you knit, weave? In short, tailor?
Thought you'd end up a prison guard, Vic.
That's right. I always knew you'd turn out rotten, Ben Mest.
Yes, I can tell from your vagabond chic, a bag is as good as a shirt kind of style. I shouldn't be getting my hopes up. On then to my final query. Have you the ability to administer the upkeep of one's personal appearance? The delicate art of cosmetics is what I'm after. The very basics, then. I suppose that's a start. So, 3 questions asked, 3 questions answered. Let's evaluate. As per your own testimony, you can groom, but you have the taste buds of a dung beetle and the fashion sense of a monkey in a clown suit. That won't do at all, see? I'm sad to say I must deny you the opportunity to be my slave. Ever so sorry. You should probably come to terms with the fact that you've half a mind, full stop. You'll never attain the rank of slave with manners such as that. Still, hone your skills, and one day you may just qualify for a position in a lesser household than mine. You keep dreaming, you hear?
I spent my life singing for my slaves to bring me my supper. Finer fare than boiled roots and rotten tubers, too. Meanwhile, the Magisters feast on honeyed meat behind this very wall. The indignity. Who we are, what we've done, they mean less than nothing as long as these collars choke us.
No, please don't come begging me. I told you. You can't be my slave, and that's final.
This will be on a leash now.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here...
Name? Well, you aren't here on my list. Scram, eh? We're trying to catch a killer here.
Put a knuckle in it. I'm trying to concentrate.
You! Sorcerer! Blood?
No.
Go! Oof.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
You look like my daddy. His name is Frida. He's waiting for me at home. Hi!
I'm here because I'm magic. Are you here because you're weird?
Mad?
Do you know Losa? She's a really good singer. I'm better though. Listen. La 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 la.
Ah, there you are. Husband. Would you please tell this very charming gaggle of not-at-all brat-like babes that I am by no accounts this Losa woman, nor do I sing, in fact. I'm deathly allergical.
Cobbs, didn't your mother teach you any manners?
She got eaten by a void woken.
Forget it.
How very correct you are, spouse of mine. Madame Josephine Gribbles de Peeb refuses to be confused with anyone else. What? What's so funny?
Her pinched face cracks into a great grin, and she shoos the children away from her with a laugh.
Yeah, okay, you found me out. Go on and git, and maybe I'll sing you something when I'm good and ready.
She turns to you, dark-eyed and dirty-haired, and smiles flatly.
Gotta keep ourselves entertained, haven't we? You'd presume right. Thanks, but I already belong to an elite and exclusive ship gang. We play ball every day after lunch. You're too soft for it. You take care, though. Nope, trying not to find anything out either. Ignorance is bliss. The utterer, the better.
Suddenly, her eyes cloud to an unnatural black. Greyish veins run down her face, and her mouth tightens into a cruel sneer. As quickly as they came, the clouds clear. She smiles as though no change came over her.
Good luck, Chief. Take it easy, Chief. You don't want to get noticed.